Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. You are watching the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. Thank you, everyone. It is our last Christmas book of the month. But before we go into that, my name is Scott. I'm joined by Shane.
Ahoy, hoy, ho.
I'm joined by Phil.
Howdy, ho, ho, ho.
And we are joined by Martin, our Herd's Choice winner. How are you doing?
Good,
man. We're so pleased to have you here. As someone who you kind of dedicated yourself for Volume 2 to kind of join into everyone and read along and give us your thoughts, and you're really enthusiastic about it. It's fantastic to have you here.
Yeah, I'm still going strong, man. Still going strong.
Good, man. Good. I'm worried you'll get to a point you'll get like halfway and you've stopped and you're like, no, I'm still going. It's fine.
No, you're getting me into a routine, so it's good.
Good, man. Good.
And this is a big thing. This is the the face reveal of Blue Sonic on Instagram.
Yes.
I'm amazed.
Yeah,
I have
you
a
were
face
saying,
to the.
You were saying just before you joined, we went live that you've been live on YouTube before, but you've never shown your face, and this is this is a Nerd Herd exclusive.
Yeah.
This is the first time you've shown your face. So yeah, we're very pleased, very happy to have you here, and very happy today to be reading and talking about Klaus, The Life and Times of Santa Claus, written by Grant Morrison, and the art done by the fantastic Dan Mora. I say fantastic because I fangirl over him. That's literally it. But yeah, so this is the book we're reading today. But before we crack on, let's go ahead and say hi to who is here. So first in, we've got Glenn. Hey, Shane, Scott, and Phil. Thank you for joining, mate. Hope you're doing all right. Captain Comics. Ahoy, mates and mermaids. Thanks for joining. Nice to see you. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, cheers. Dean's here. Merry Herdmas, ladies and gents. Merry Herdmas to you too, Dean. And Chris is in, off my shelves. So disappointed. Blue Sonic is neither blue nor Sonic. My expectations are dashed.
The internet.
Sorry,
lied
Chris.
to me.
Yeah. And Dean is also piping up saying, wait, you're telling me Blue Sonic isn't actually blue? Yeah.
I'll put a filter on next time.
Yeah.
I feel like I missed the trick. We should have kind of like blue face paint or something just to kind of commit to the illusion,
Next time. You just have to win the Herd's Choice next time, and we'll do it.
Definitely.
So as I've said, we are going to be talking about Klaus. We'll say Volume 3. Klaus Volume 3 for this show. And I've got a synopsis for the two issues, the two annuals that are in this collection. So this collected Klaus and the Crying Snowman, issue 1, which basically saw a dad-turned-snowman kind of make amends before kind of melting away, and he had to go and help Klaus defeat some Norse gods and their minions. That was that. And then the other issue in the book was Klaus and the Life and Times of Joe Christmas, which kind of sees Klaus kind of take this role as a father. He takes in Joe Christmas. He takes him off on like these adventures in this kind of calendar themed issue. But we'll talk about that later as well. So yeah, that's kind of the synopsis.
I needed that because this book was so blummin' confusing. Like I had to read it twice. Just to understand what was going on. So I needed that. I needed someone to explain to me in more detail. So thanks.
Okay.
Plus for me as well.
All right. Well, Martin, as this was your choice, would you please mind kicking us off? What did you think initially of this book, of these two stories?
See, I the main story, the Crying Snowman. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good story. It has its drawbacks, obviously, because Volume 1 we all hold so high, but yeah, overall I thought it was better than Volume 2. It was enjoyable. So I enjoyed it more on the second read than I did the first. But overall it was good.
And then the second issue.
Well,
it looked nice.
You can't really class it. Yeah, it looked pretty. There's not much you can say about it. There's no real story. It's just what you perceive it as, really, isn't it?
Oh, reading does this call for the magic word? Interpretation. Brilliant. Yeah. Phil, Shane?
Shane.
Phil?
Okay. I'll go because I feel like if we go down to Shane's, I'm like turn it up a notch, turn the heat up a notch. So I'll go me next. Same idea, like I mean, as the second volume, like two kind of separate stories, but this obviously the second one of Joe Christmas was done in pictures, like a calendar form, which was cool. And I liked, some of the imagery they used to correlate with the year that was posted and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've asked you before the show, I don't know what Joe Christmas is. I had to Google it, and from what I understand, Joe Christmas was adopted into like a mixed race family or something like that back in the whatever times. I had no idea what the story is, and I have no idea what I was reading or trying to interpret through the pictures.
Yeah.
So it was very confusing. I had to read it twice in 1 day or 2 days, 24 hours, because I did not understand what was going on in the first story. There's just a lot of like everyone knows Grant Morrison, right? In terms of what he's like. I mean, you had kobolds and moon dogs. You had the Lunar Civil War. You had flipping cosmic clocks, Mars bubbles, Moontians or whatever. Like, I just like, what are you doing? Like, what are you telling us? And I needed to read it the second time and to read it calmly and slowly, take it in. But it was still beautiful through. I mean, Dan Mora. I mean, I think we're all fans of Dan Mora.
Oh yeah.
And Shane, listen, you mentioned about Klaus being a sexy Santa. He's now an older sexy Santa in this book.
Silver Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I was like. He's always looked very, very handsome in the books. But then they introduce Father Frost.
Shane's like, move over.
I'm like, Klaus who? Get out. Yeah.
So what did you think, Shane?
The art's beautiful, absolutely stunning. Especially that lovely close-up you get of Klaus when he's looking at the snowman. Like for the first time, it's that full frontal face of his, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And the life and times of Joe Christmas, beautiful. There's even a cheeky X-Men homage in there. If you caught that with them standing in front of the Wanted poster, very, very, very nice art. Story.
Okay, moving on.
Jane, can you tell your synopsis that you told us in our group chat? Can you read that out?
My synopsis.
Oh, yeah.
What did I say? Oh,
can I read it?
Go ahead.
You can read it.
So I was so confused with this story. I needed help to someone explain to me. So I asked, "What is the synopsis of this story?" And Shane is Klaus teams up with a Depressy the Snowman to target aliens that kill the Norse gods. Simple. So that's how we knew Shane was not going to like this.
Yeah. I think I've already
Depressy
predicted his score.
Sam. Again, they tried that thing what they tried in the last one. They wanted us to care for Geppetto, so they want us to care for this snowman. So, all care that he's dying. I don't know him. Why should I care? And then, we'll tell you about him, so you care. He's cheating on his wife, has no time for his kid. Oh, I really care now, don't I? Because that's someone I really want to root for. And they're like, now he's going to slowly melt to death throughout the book. Care? No, I will not care about this snowman. I do not care about him. But I went in with no expectations. So like I knew what
it's a 10.
The last one
Great.
was. So I was like, I'm just gonna give it a go. So I opened it and I read it and I was laughing at how bad it was throughout. I was like, this is so sad. This is so sad. I was really I wasn't upset this time because like I don't care anymore. Klaus is a 1-volume story for me. This is just like fan fiction now at this point.
You can't like re-break a broken heart, can you, Shane?
That's right. Yeah. So
You're already dead.
Just Santa meets a snowman, finds some aliens, tells them not to be bad anymore, so they go all right and they move on.
What I've really been trying to do with these stories is really try to understand why. Like Grant Morrison has written these characters in, created these stories, and also kind of brought in the fact that, Klaus will go, oh, you remember when we did that thing? But I'm not going to show
the Lunar War. They keep mentioning it and they just won't show it.
Yeah. That's why I was asking before we went live, is there going to be like a 2021 annual or out in January 2022 or something? But can't find anything for another annual coming out. But anyway, I'm really trying hard to like understand why Grant Morrison is doing what he's doing, and the only link I can think, he's trying to make him out to be like a Norse a Nordic kind of character, isn't he? So that's why he's bringing in all these like Norse mythology themes, which is why we get Hrym, Hrym. He's the in Norse mythology, he's the god of giants, the frost giants, and that story can be taken in both ways, as in like some stories it's Loki, but in other stories it's Hrym. And so that's why. But then I'm like, where are the giants? I'm like, are they the kind of robot zombie skeletons that he's made? Are these the giants? Because they are quite big. So I'm just, is this Grant Morrison's kind of spin on this Norse mythology character that is in barely any writings anyway, and he's just gone, that character's barely written, I'll do something with that in my story.
But why? Like you've said, why? Why do this? Why not just do like a Santa Claus story, giving presents to kids who need it in some other village? Just repeat volume 1.
Yeah, but then that's repetition, and
but just add some, I don't know, fewer layers, building the characters a wee bit.
But it worked.
All that time creating that world in volume 1, and then you just tore it up and threw it in the bin and went, right, now he's in 2020. What can he do? It's like, but you just created this gorgeous world and this fantastic story with him, and you introduced him in such an amazing way. And now you've just spent these last 3 one-shots just ruining the character, in my opinion. I'll go say in my opinion after I say everything now.
It's like you're in court. Dean is saying his theory is Grant Morrison was sober when he wrote the first one, and then was just off his face on all these other ones.
But unfortunately that's what the books do portray. Like he just went this whole different level of craziness. And where's that coming from? What was his inspiration? What was he taking to get this inspiration for this story?
For this story, it was Thor Ragnarok.
Well, but it just went a whole other level of craziness. I'm thinking it might sound good in his head at a certain time whenever he's under any kind of influence, but for like normal folk who it was odd. It was too odd.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys felt the same, but on the first when they actually showed him talking to the snowman, he actually looked like Chris Hemsworth. In one of the main
in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Apparently I look like Chris Hemsworth, so I don't think he looked like me in the book.
All right, let's rein it back a bit and let's bring it back to the art then. Shane, you loved it.
I did.
You loved the art.
Yeah,
and
the art is
like
gorgeous.
Dan Mora, for this book, he was nominated as best penciler and inker for an Eisner Award in 2017.
Well deserved.
Which, definitely well deserved. It is a stunning book, and I think because of how mental Grant Morrison's writing is, I think one of the only things that is attracting some readers is the fact that Dan Mora is drawing this, and especially when it comes to the Joe Christmas issue. I understand that all of the direction for Dan Mora is from Grant Morrison, but that issue is Dan Mora. You know what I mean? He is the one that has, he is the one enticing people to read this and keeping them interested when they realize and they turn it widescreen and they go, it's a calendar, what the hell? But I think because it is Dan Mora's art, it's a pleasure to look through, and even though there's no writing on there, I was on these pages for a few minutes at a time, just really looking around and seeing what kind of detail Dan Mora had added in.
Yeah. Although it did make me want to see more of those adventures in actual story form, especially, when you see them fighting and Joe Christmas is like Captain America with the shield, and it's like, it looked really cool.
Again, that's potentially like 20 odd issues or like an 18-issue story. You know what I mean? That one calendar kind of thing. Obviously it's Boom Studios in charge of all this, but imagine if Grant Morrison could have done, a 2 or 3 volume story of Klaus
imagine if we
Joe
just
Christmas.
imagine if we got a better writer and like do really good stories.
This is one of the things I've written down to also talk about in the writing portion, but I don't know how much Grant Morrison owns of this creation in terms of who owns the rights, but I like Grant Morrison, full disclosure. 9 times out of 10 I like Grant Morrison. Sometimes he's just a bit too insane, but I would like to see him leave it for somebody else. if you think about like
Tom
once in the
Taylor.
future, like Tom Taylor. Here, listen, Tom Taylor would be fantastic writing Santa
Yeah.
Claus, and so would even like of once in the future, like Kieran Gillen will be good at this too because
Yeah,
he does like kind
100%,
of like the the mystery stuff as well, like with Die and so on
like
as well,
horror,
and
thrillery.
yeah. So
Yeah.
he'd be good at that as well. So I just think there are a dozen other writers could easily take this
Yeah.
over and
You know,
do better things with it.
Maybe this should have been an IP where there is, there's one shot a year. So maybe they should have just gone, right, you can write it this year, you can write it next year, you can write it the year after, and that would have been quite fun to see how kind of different they would kind of use Klaus.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see.
Yeah. Leah's in. Howdy ho. Apologies, we're late. Has Shane gone easier this time? He has. He's doing okay. He's only you know the saying, if you haven't got anything good to say, don't say it at all. He's saying the good things and then saying stum on everything else. Dean has also said, personally, I love Grant Morrison even when he's not sober. So yeah. Okay, should we show everyone's pages?
Yeah, boy.
Let's go ahead. We'll start with the guest of honor first.
Me?
So Martin, could you please tell us why you chose this page and what you like about it?
So the main thing I like about this page is I've recently just come off watching The Witcher, and this just gave me Witcher vibes. Even like the way he's holding his sword, the way he's attacking the monster, the detail on this monster, it made me think more towards Volume 1. I thought we were on a good start at this point. That's what sold me on this page. One
thing it suited for me in this page, it is really cool, but I don't know if you remember a few weeks back or on Halloween we read Something is Killing the Children, and we had mentioned that monster wasn't up to scratch.
This is what it should have been.
This should have been the monster from Something is Killing the Children, because it's a lot more detail, it's a lot more threatening, and I just prefer to see that. And every kind of branch of this tree monster has like a sword or a weapon or a staff or something. It's just really cool.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic page. Like the colors, I don't know why. I love the green, like the blood in this. The green in his eye and the blood, it just looks cool. And then obviously the character design of the weird tree monster is batshit.
Right.
And it's just fantastic. So really good. That's like page 4 as well. It's like the start of the book, and it just jumps you in like that and is mental. But really good pick there.
And it's snowing, so Phil loves it.
I do love the atmosphere that the snow brings. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. Okay, Philip, this is what you got.
It's not so much because of the look of the story. It's more like, or the look of the page. It does look quite cool, but I just didn't understand what was happening. Like, so this is the point where
bagpipes, Phil.
Yeah. They were on the cosmic clock, right? Whatever that is. And basically, like, he'd said it doesn't have its defenses because it's never needed them. And then he's searching around for some sort of defenders of the cosmic clock. And he goes, found it. And he's holding a bagpipe. And then this happens. It's like, what? Like, WTF? Like, what's going on? Like, what is this?
He's just like, he's holding this robot by his throat, isn't he? He's like, what's that noise? And he just goes, bagpipes. It's like, what? Bagpipes. And he's like, and then you look at this and it's just flying bagpipes. And I think this may have been a moment where Grant Morrison wasn't sober.
It was maybe
mosquito bagpipes. Yeah,
he lost it at this point.
That's the thing. The bagpipe going through the head of that skull in the bottom panel. It's just it does look nice and stuff, but it's just really odd. And I think I needed to show it and talk about it.
Yeah. It's a mental page. It is brilliant though. Shane, on to yours now.
Oh,
good choice.
Look at that. I was getting Action Comics #1 vibes from it. It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Not only is he stopping the car, but he's holding the monster back as well. Like, that's awesome, isn't it? Just look at him. Look how powerful he looks. And then you've got Sam in the background looking on like, oh, I'm still depressed.
But I don't know. I'm thinking this is, this whole issue was just, it's just similar to the Jack Frost film, isn't it? Is it Michael Keaton?
Yeah.
Just similar to that, isn't it?
Well, no, because in that one, in the film, Jack Frost, he gets to, he learns his lesson, he becomes a nicer person, and then he gets to say goodbye to his family. This one gets to watch his family as he slowly melts to death as a younger version of himself who doesn't get to learn any lessons, gets to carry on living his life, cheating on his wife and ignoring his son. So there's
No, but at the end
ending
he was like, yes, son, let's build the best goddamn snowman ever. And
only because he was in a car crash. Tomorrow he'll be back to his mistress. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, all right, yeah. Anyway, great looking page, fantastic. I love the colouring in this. The shading at the top is stunning. I love that kind of light,
the whole
shadowy...
thing from top to bottom.
Yeah,
the lights on the
awesome.
car even look great. Look,
it almost looks like Thor. Chris Hemsworth vibes there. Yep. It is really good. My page, I'm picking this just because it just made me laugh in a kind of what the hell is this kind of way. This was in the Joe Christmas issue. Obviously, you can see it's December 16th there, and there is this kind of Christmas pudding meteor hurtling to Earth, and they've all got giant forks. And what the hell is going on?
So bring it on.
It's just they're like he's like, yeah, eat that one. What? Why is he pointing at it? Like we can all see it. But this page just absolutely baffled me in an hilarious kind of way. And I don't know what else to say about it. It just made me laugh so much, and I just wanted it as my pick.
I don't know much about Dan Mora, but I get he could be a sane person. Imagine being a professional artist and you're given a script to write. It's like, right, I want you to draw like a flaming pudding coming in from space, and for the characters to be holding forks.
Big forks.
Big forks, like size of swords. Like what's he thinking when he gets this message to do this page?
I reckon that the script was Klaus and Joe enjoy some Christmas pudding, and Dan was like, "That's boring. That's boring."
They enjoy some Christmas pudding falling from space.
From space.
Well, that's if that was the message he got, that's some creative freedom right there. I'll just do this. I'll give them all big forks.
You can see he had some fun with this though.
Oh yeah.
All of these days, there's some ones that really stand out to me that he really had a lot of fun. Like the page with the DeLorean. Yeah, and then there was one page with the Beatles. They were helping change a wheel on their van. Just brilliant.
It is great, the kind of pop culture references they have during all this. It was really good. So those are our pages. If anyone else has read the book, do let us know what your favourite pages were as well. Dean was saying that Phil's page matches his outfit tonight.
Yeah.
I
do love pink. I do love pink. There's no bagpipes, but I do love a bit of pink.
Yeah, and Subshock as well coming in. Hello, thanks for joining. He says, missed the opening. Either Phil fell into wrapping paper or has the coolest Christmas pajamas of all time.
It's a Christmas shirt. I bought it specifically for Christmas, which you'll see because that's my bro, Oh
yeah, I know. You'll see. And Chris as well. Did they have oversized forks in preparation for this day? It seems a bit unrealistic. Oh yeah. So yeah. Could you imagine Klaus going, Joe, there's a giant Christmas pudding falling. Go and grab the giant forks I prepared just for this very moment. Or have they just gone, quick, there's a giant pudding falling from the sky. We need to make giant forks. Which one was it?
Forget the knives, Joe. Just get the forks.
Just get the forks.
Maybe they were shrunken down and they're actually on a table and it's a little bit less dramatic as it appears on the page. And they're just,
maybe.
Maybe
but this was the cool thing about this particular issue because it is mentally open to interpretation, and that's the one thing I really enjoyed about it. Yeah, sorry, trademark. It's just okay, we're going into the writing now. I can understand why people don't or might not enjoy that issue because there's no writing in it at all. But for me, I think I've said this before on previous books that we've read. I really enjoy stuff where there isn't writing because I can just go ahead and think, why is this happening? What has happened? What will happen? That was fantastic for me. And Phil, I did look into Joe Christmas for you because you did ask.
Yes.
And
you find out.
The only character kind of reference to Joe Christmas is from a book called Light of August, written by a guy called William Faulkner, and this is a story. It's written in 3 parts, and it's 3 stories with 3 main characters, and you can read them all quite happily, quite simply. You read that one, cool. You read that one, cool. Read that one, cool. And Joe Christmas's story, it gets quite dark from like the middle onwards, but the start of it is pretty similar to how it starts in this, as in like he becomes an orphan, and you know someone looks after him, and that's pretty much the only similarity to it. But I think the reason why Grant Morrison made it without any speech was because of how open to interpretation this book is, the one written by William Faulkner, because there are so many like character analyses, book reports on that story that William Faulkner wrote, and apparently the three stories, although they're separate to each other, they can actually be scrutinized and analyzed really deeply to kind of figure out that yes, they actually intertwine and interlink with each other. So I think he's trying to pull from that fact that, you know, people have read this book, this Light of August book, to have all of this interpretation and kind of looking into it and just getting deeper and deeper into it. And I like to think that's what Grant Morrison has done. I'll just take this Joe Christmas character because he's got the word Christmas in his name, and I will just make it so anyone can just decide what happens in every page.
And that's fine. I just think he's maybe just forgot his market, you know, because was that all a one-shot comic book?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So if you bought that, you'd be a bit disappointed.
Yeah, I did think of this.
You know?
Yeah, you know, could you imagine waiting a whole year? Imagine being a really big fan of Klaus, waiting a whole year and going, yes, can't wait. Who the hell is this Joe Christmas guy? It's going to be really cool. I wonder what they're going to get up to. And you see all these pages, you're reading it like this, like you're reading a dirty mag. And then it's just kind of...
Your mum just popped in the chat. I can't read what a dirty mag is.
That's fine. Hi, Mum. And yeah, it's just... You would be disappointed waiting a whole year for that and just having 25 pictures. But they're stunning pictures. Let's not get that wrong.
They are. You can't fault the art.
The thing is, with the hardcover, obviously you have this calendar issue. Then you have the cover gallery. And I just seen that as an extension almost of the cover gallery. It's just something nice to look at as opposed to telling the story. Granted, I don't know who Joe Christmas... I didn't know who Joe Christmas was. So you're right in terms of what he's creating. It could be used on those case studies that you referred to. You know, additional learning, whatever. But, I mean, I don't want to learn when I'm reading comic books. You know, I just want to kind of be entertained. And it's nice to look at, but I wasn't entertained with the second story.
Yeah, I get it.
I did like the Beatles one, though. It was cool.
Yeah. Chris is here. No words in that last annual, but I think Scott has done enough research reading for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I only did it because Phil asked, like, who is Joe Christmas? Should I know something about it? And, you know, I wanted to do my research anyway on this book because of how much the last one was slated. And I wanted to see if I could actually argue any points. But I can't. So, Shane, hammer the book. Let's go.
I mean, come on. It's not good, is it? It's not. I mean, it's pretty to look at, but it's not a good story. It's very basic. It's very blah. You know, Santa needs a snowman's help to fight off some aliens who killed the Norse gods, and then they all die. So Santa goes back in time and then asks them not to attack, and they agree and go home. That's it.
See ya.
That's it. He like nothing really, because like Father Frost dies, and they're like, oh, no one's believing in him, so he's dying, and that stupid Yule goat is like there, and he dies. So then Santa's like, that's fine, I'll just go back to yesterday and I'll just save everyone because I'm awesome. And then he goes, take what you want from the sun and then bugger off. And they go, all right. And then he comes back and the snowman's like, oh, I'm dying and I'm depressed. And he goes, yeah, but don't worry, I also saved you. Oh, not you. I saved yesterday's you. So he'll get to
you're still screwed.
While you still get to slowly die. You're going to melt and die very slowly in front of your family. And I'm going to stay here and smile at you the entire time. He's such a sadistic person at the end of this book. It's cringy. They really just turned Santa into this evil person by the end. He's just really happy that this snowman is just going to slowly melt to death in front of his family. I was like, what?
But he did say, though, that it's his kid was the one who deserved better, not him.
Yeah.
You know, he says,
No, I know,
your kid's a good kid, your kid's nice. He asked for his dad on Christmas Day, or spend time with his dad at Christmas time. What's the kid got? So Klaus wasn't like rewarding, or well,
no, I know, but then he should have merged the snowman into his body. So he should have put them together to make one person who has learned his lesson and has had this character growth throughout this book. But they didn't. He's just like, yeah, that's yesterday's you. He's just going to carry on being a knobhead, and you get to slowly die in front of your child. Merry Christmas. Bye. See you next year.
And he could have done that with the growth of the character because he laid the foundation for it. It just felt like where it was one shot, he sort of ran out of time at the end and had to come up with some quick idea to fix it.
Time travel.
Yeah. I've had a complete mind blank. So in volume 2, there was time travel involved there too, wasn't there? Or something. Because remember that obviously they killed Lily and then she didn't actually die.
No, he didn't kill her. He took a bite out of her and then took Lily to. Oh no, the first volume, the first story was back in the 80s.
Was there not time travel of some sort happening? Like he turned back time.
The two books were set in different times.
The time periods, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one was 2020. Second one was 2000. The 80s. So that's why we knew Lily was going to be fine because they'd already told us
both the wrong way around.
Yeah.
Like you guys know, I just don't like time travel in books. I just think it's hard. It's
just
hard
an easy MacGuffin to just I've ripped myself into a corner. Time travel.
That's it always works better in a movie. You know, Back to the Future, you just believed it, and then obviously Avengers Endgame, that can be destroyed. Back to the Future's theory. It was a movie, so I could explain it. We're in a book. You're limited pages, limited words that actually explain your time travel thesis.
Yeah, but if you feel like by the end of the book that you've written yourself into a corner that you need to go back a day to fix everything, just go back a few pages and rewrite yourself out of that corner. You know, you haven't printed it yet. It's a one shot. It's not out. So just go back and write something better. Just don't kill off your characters, and then you don't have to go back a day and save them all. Magic. He's got magic. Do something else. But he's just like, oh yeah, it's yesterday. Everyone's alive again. Sorted.
Yeah, okay. Amy's in. Hello. She's saying that, Phil, is that a shirt, sweater, jumper, Xmas wrapping paper ensemble? Mega festive.
It's a very expensive, unnecessary purchase I made. Like it's like what do you call that? You're at the till and you buy something like an impulse buy, but it was Amazon. So it wasn't even in person. This is like, well, that's nice. I'll buy that. And well overpriced and really warm. It's like silk. I don't like it.
Nice. Oh, okay.
Well, it looks good on you.
Thanks.
And my mother is actually throwing some shade on me. So Chris has said, Scott's man must be so confused. And then she goes, and you think he's really reading the books. But then Chris is defending me now. He's saying he's reading and researching them too. Love Santa, he does. I do. I love Santa, I do. No problem. What else do we talk about? Like, in all honesty, like what else is there?
I mean,
the thing is,
this had the same problem as the last one. I know Santa's good, and I know he's supposed to like talk people down, and you know, like show them there's a better way because he sees the good in everyone, and I love that about the character. But just like with the witch in the last one, it's like literally one speech bubble of him being like, "Don't do that," and then the problem solved. There's no, you know, try to talk it out, fails, and then tries again with different words, and then finally gets through to them. You know, he needs to try it and fail and then do it. He doesn't just one speech bubble of him being like, yeah, take your energy from the sun and go away. And they do. Like they've been holding this grudge for like 1,500 years. Yeah.
And this is the thing too. So Suitor, is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah.
And then Hiram, which is Nightborn, the Lord of Death. But he was easily convinced not to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like it did seem very simple. And it was right. It was like one or two speech bubbles, and that's it done. You know, change their mind, and then you see the comet, the comet heading towards the sun. They're going to get their energy for the next 1,500 years, and then Santa Claus just brings Sam back to the Earth to melt.
He should have tried to talk to them, and then if he had to go back in time after they failed, he should have talked to them, and then they lost the fight, you know, and they carried on fighting them. Then he came up with something different to say the second time to convince them. You know, been a bit more heartfelt and a bit more apologetic for what had happened to them. But it was just straight away. just bursts in, calls them monsters, upsets them, and then they go on their way.
If they had like a big battle scene to the point where Klaus like bested them and had them like sword to the throat type of thing, but isn't prepared to go for the kill, and then maybe do all that, that's perfectly fine. You get to a certain point where the person knows they're defeated, they could die here. This guy's giving, it's all about second chances. This guy's giving me a second chance now. Nobody.
You basically threatened them with the Christmas Avengers, and then went like, if you come to Earth, we'll batter you, or you can just go to the sun, have what you want, and go. All right, we don't want to get battered by the Christmas Avengers.
He even says, like, I didn't come here to fight. We didn't come here to fight. We came here to talk.
Yeah.
Like, oh, scary.
I do have a question. Who was that Winter Wonderland woman? Like the Wonder Woman?
Notice her. Yeah, wasn't she from the
Very
last
cool
book?
I don't recall seeing her.
Wasn't she
one.
with
No,
the guy in the Batcave? Didn't she like teleport him? Teleport.
Oh,
Klaus
Frost's
to the
daughter?
Batcave?
Was it Frost's?
Is that
father?
her?
Is that her?
Is that her?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's the only woman I can think of. Martin, what did you think of how the first issue went? Like how it ended?
So I just think this particular story has the same problems as the previous two, and it's just not big enough. They're trying to cram a lot of lore into a one-shot, which really deserves multiple issues, which is why I feel the first volume just nailed it. He had enough space and time to be able to set that world. He could have done it with these stories. So I think these stories did have potential to actually do a good story, but just didn't have the time and no more one shots.
With the first volume, like he did introduce some weird, wacky themes, like is it the Shining people, the forest people? Yeah, that's what's strange. But he had enough time to explain that and to understand what was actually going on. But you're right, this also seems cramped into one comic book, and it's just so much to take in. And then I don't think we end up getting the right message, to be honest, because there's just so much there. Yeah. We're not taking everything that maybe he wants to put into it. It is, I mean, a good 7-issue, as long as it's a good story, still be a terrible story. A good 7-issue will be good for this to branch it out a bit more. I'd make the suitor and the Lord of Death guy, make them a bit more menacing, because they weren't really in it. They were, in terms of like, they were destroying the cosmic clock robots and building their people up of their, gadgetry or whatever, and that was it. They weren't doing anything to, they were threatening the world, I suppose, but there's nothing happening yet. Yeah.
And the art on those characters were amazing. They looked really, really good. I wanted to see more.
There was a big double-page spread, wasn't there, of all of them in the battle scene fighting like the gods at the start. Yeah, it was cool. We didn't pick it, obviously, but it was a cool page.
Fair play to Grant Morrison and Dan Mora for creating all of these characters. But it's just all becomes a case of why.
And 100% why. That's what you feel when you finish reading the book. You're just like, why? Why is that a book?
What's the motivations? Why have you thought of this?
And I'm so bored of hearing about the Lunar Civil War and not seeing it. All 3 volumes have mentioned the Lunar Civil War, and we have not seen any of it. I'm bored now.
That's your next 7 issues.
I don't care now. It's too late.
It has to be. No, we do need it. Like, if they're going to go forward with this title and make more stories with Klaus, they need to do the Lunar Civil War, because they're mentioning different kind of like allegiances, and we don't know what they are. What who's the goodies, who's the baddies? We need to know more about the Lunar Civil War, and I think that should be next. Again, as Martin was saying, don't condense it in 1 or 2 issues. We want 6 or 7.
But the problem with that is there will be no threat to Klaus because we know he's fine, because we saw what happened in the start of the last volume. Yeah, he just comes back in some chains.
You can still enjoy this. How he got to that point. Enjoy the story.
Yeah.
Prequel.
Can we reference some comments there, Scott? Because you are being well ousted.
Yeah, I am.
Your place in the nerd herd is
I know. So first of all, we'll say hi to Highland G. Hello, thank you for joining.
Hey.
But then Amy seems to just go straight away and just goes, what happens is she reads them, gives me the notes, and then it all goes from there. But if Amy's going to give me any notes, then she's giving me really bad notes because there's nothing there. So what the hell, Amy? You've just given me terrible notes. And then Chris goes, the truth is finally revealed. And Chris is also sharing the statement with he's sick of hearing about the Lunar War, and he hasn't even read it. So yeah, it is frustrating because I think it's maybe too little, too late now because we've known about it for a while, and if you've been reading this in annuals for 4 years, then that's 4 years of going, just give me the bloody war, and it's just overhyped now, I think, and I think no matter what they do, it'll probably be a bit of a disappointment to whoever reads it.
Then that may be the case, but I don't think we've seen the last of Klaus because it's a big seller. I think obviously we mentioned before that the books are hard to come by now, especially the first volume. So there's more. What's the saying? There's more legs for this story. But just if you're not going to give us the Lunar War, give us something similar to the first volume.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I think we mentioned before, give it a different writer. Give us someone new to take a different direction, or else bring it back to the original direction, but just do different things with it.
Yeah,
That's what should happen.
Totally agree. If anyone can't think of anything else to say, shall we go on to our thoughts and scores?
This is
at
least we had more to talk about on the last Klaus book. I mean,
I know
they were terrible, but we could talk about them.
Yeah, we could literally go through every page on the calendar and talk about all of those. But I don't think Shane wants to do that. Go on.
I've written this down, but I wasn't sure why. So, like at the end of the book, maybe Shane answered this? Why did Sam, like the real Sam, like the human Sam, not appear like within the snowman? Because I thought that's what the story was. The snowman would melt, and Sam would be in the snowman. You know what I mean? Why did he just appear behind him? But you're saying now that's yesterday Sam.
That was the past Sam.
Oh, I don't like that.
So
because he was saved, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Because
that's ruined that for me.
We can show you. This was the exact point. He was saved.
Yep.
Right here.
Yeah.
I know.
And you see Sam in the background.
But then, so there's an overlap then, because Sam's still a snowman for a good bit at that stage.
Yeah.
It's the time travel thing, isn't it? Where you've still got that existing character there, and then the other one takes in, and one phases out, and one takes over.
That's why I don't like time travel on books. It's too hard. It's too hard to nail down.
But it just negates everything that Snowman Sam went through, because he didn't, he only learned his lesson because he felt sorry for himself because he'd become a snowman. Like, if he hadn't have died and become a snowman, he wouldn't care less, would he, about his kid and his wife? But he learned that no matter what. But by the end of the book, that's yesterday's Sam now, back with his wife and kid, who's still having an affair with the woman at work, who still doesn't have time for his son. So,
but do you think there's some part of that Sam knows all this somehow? I suppose
they
not
didn't
really,
show it.
but
They should have just had him merged together, or you should have just seen his soul leave his body and go into his human body, so that he was.
That's what I expected. The snow melting around Sam. That's what I thought should have happened.
Yeah, that'd have been cool.
You know?
Yeah,
because then he would have all those memories.
He hasn't gone through that whole redemption story, has he? He's pretty much turned up and look, the snowman's melted. Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Care everyone that the snowman slowly died throughout the book. No.
Did anyone read the calendar issue backwards? Did you read it forwards and backwards?
Oh, I did when I finished it. I went back to watch him grow old and become Santa.
I love the one, by the way, where I think Klaus has him as a baby in the basket, and he must put him in the orphanage. But then later on, you see I can't remember what date it was, but it was, say the Joe was probably like 6 or 7 years of age at the gate of the orphanage, and you see the shadow of Klaus, and Joe's 12. Like smiling. Yeah, and he's just looking forward to I'm going with you now. This is the start. I loved that. I thought it was great.
Yeah, 12 years old he was. Yeah, and then the one after that is when they're in World War II with a giant cat. What the hell is that cat? Just makes no sense. But this is the wonder of interpretation. But in that picture, the cat has got 2 eyes. You can see it gets blown up there, and then in the next one, he's got an eye patch.
He's got
I think it's Joe's cat, isn't it? Joe has that cat with him through quite a few of those pages.
I don't know. It's mental and just.
Just talking about that page, though, I think when I looked at it, I thought he was fighting like a Green Army men because that's how it looks. Because I thought, why is the cat so big? And I thought it could be Green Army men toys because quite a lot of them in the bottom left-hand corner of that image, they're all green. I was like, okay.
Or maybe they were shrunken down then again, like with the Christmas pud.
I might be completely off, but that's what I thought when I saw it.
That was the cool thing about this issue, was the interpretation of it all, and you just make it up yourself, and I wonder what happened here. How did we get to this point, and what will happen after? And it's probably not for everyone, but I definitely enjoyed it. Just thinking about it myself,
Well,
yeah, it was nice to look at.
Even though we've said what we've said, I'm going to buy the second and third hardcover still.
The thing is, I do think they're worth a reread, because once you read it the first time and then you can accept the madness. This is like with this book, I accepted the madness and went back and reread it, and I was more calm. Like I was anticipating certain things to happen. I definitely took more from it. So it is one of those things. You buy those hardcovers, you're going to reread them a couple of times, and they'll make sense. Hopefully, maybe.
I felt that way.
It did definitely diss a little bit, but I still enjoyed reading it. If that's fair to say.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing I've read, and yeah, I think I'm gonna keep them. I'm gonna keep all the books, and I will read them again in the future. Next Christmas, I'll go through them again. But I definitely know what to expect now, and they are just, I don't know, maybe just fun little throwaway stories about Santa. These fun little made-up, reimagined adventures that Santa goes on. Obviously, Volume 1 will hold somewhere nice in our hearts, and we will all love it. But then the rest, the annuals that came out, they are just little throwaway fun stories, and I think that's maybe how they should be taken, and that's how I'm definitely taking them anyway. Mm-hmm. But yeah, on that note, now should we do thoughts and scores?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, everyone in the chat, if you've read this book, do let us know a score. I don't think anyone has. Maybe Highland G has. I know he has, so maybe he's still in the chat. But Martin, do you want to kick us off?
See, I feel the same way as what we said before. The story didn't hold as well as with Volume 2 as well. I enjoyed it overall. I enjoyed this one more than I did the previous two. But I still think, as Shane said before, they shouldn't have walked away from that original sort of time period. That was their bread and butter. They should have left it there. But as I say, it will be a throwaway story. I will get the hardcovers for this, just to have them, even just for Dan Mora's artwork.
Yeah,
because that is the selling point for me. That artwork is just amazing.
It is fantastic.
But yeah, that's pretty much my overall on that. It's
and a score.
I'm going to go with the exact same score I went with Volume 2, which would be a 7.5.
Okay. Cool, great. Thank you very much. Philippe.
I haven't got a score written down. I was hoping that it would come to me in this conversation, and it hasn't. So I'm going to completely wing this. I definitely, the first time I read this, I was so confused. I didn't enjoy it. I was like, what did we just read? And I texted you guys in the group, like, what did we just read? And the second time reading it, I definitely understood it more because I was expecting the kind of craziness.
Yeah.
Definitely compared to the first volume, as we all agree, we've mentioned, there's a tinge of disappointment. It's not the same thing. It's a different book, completely different character with the same name. That's it. It's not the same person in my mind. But again, I did enjoy it for what it's worth the second time around. I will read them again. They are throwaway stories they can't really take too seriously. Again, Grant Morrison's just sometimes too bonkers to take too seriously. As Shane had mentioned, I wasn't connected to Sam the Snowman, and that was a big emotional pull, wasn't it? And it didn't really do it for me. I want this book to be so much better than it is. I want to rate it so much higher than I should, but I'm going to go quite low, I think, because this is the worst of the three books for me.
Okay.
And I'm going to go... Oh, no, but the art's so good. I'm going to go 6. That's my final score, 6. And the art saved it. The art saved it.
Great. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Shane?
Yeah, so not a fan of Volume 2, as you know. So going into
Really?
this one, I had zero expectations whatsoever. I went in there just expecting it to be more of Volume 2, and that's exactly what I got. Just a boring nothing story that I just didn't enjoy. Art is fantastic, but I was expecting nothing, and I got a little bit of something, because like I did quite enjoy like some of the characters, especially like Father Frost. I enjoyed Dan Mora designing that character. He did a very good job. And Klaus, absolutely gorgeous, always is. He's so fun. Volume 1 for me is a standalone. Like this is fan fiction. This is not my Klaus. # not my Klaus. So I will read Volume 1 again and again and again, and I will stop. It's a standalone story. I at the end of this book, with this sadistic side of Klaus watching that snowman slowly melt in front of his family, I did have to wonder if we were following the evil Klaus from the last volume, and maybe it was going to turn out to be the bad guy, like who was just teaching this snowman a lesson or something. But no, unfortunately, it wasn't. So the second issue, like the calendar, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. No words to ruin it. So I really enjoyed it.
What a way to interpret that book. There's no words that can make this worse.
Absolutely. It was great. There was none of that. So that saved it for me. So for the art and the second volume, this one's going to score higher than Volume 2 for me. It's going to be a 5.
Ooh, nice mid-ranged 5. Awesome. Okay, we've only had one score in the chat, and that's from Highland G. And he said, as a comic, it's just okay. I would say 6 out of 10, as I wish I could display the calendar. He's not wrong. It's a lovely calendar. It is Stein. Okay, so what did I think of the book? I wanted to like it so much. I mean, you know, Klaus, the first book we read was amazing, and the bar was just up here instantly, isn't it? And then we kind of... it got dragged down, that bar got dragged down for Volume 2, and so we were a bit disappointed. And then so Volume 3, I knew what I was going into, so I was, like Shane, my expectations were a bit lower. I really tried to appreciate what Grant was doing, and I really tried to understand why he was doing it. I like that things are like based on Norse mythology. I love that. Time travel, I love that, but again, there was no. The narrative seemed a bit clunky, and it didn't flow, and everything was just mental. And he should have had more pages or more issues to do the crying snowman story. But the Joe Christmas one, I loved it, even though there was no story in there. I just loved deciding what happened myself. And I think that was the magic of that issue, and I really liked it. And I think if I bought that as a single issue, I probably would have been a bit disappointed. But because of the fact that it's in this hardcover, I enjoyed it, and I'm happy I've read it. Can we say read? I'm happy I've viewed this issue. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go between all of you. I think for me it's gonna be a 6.5 altogether.
Nice.
So there we go. Let me just sort out the scores. So with Martin's 7.5 and Highland G's 6, that gives the audience an average of 6.75. And then you add that onto Phil's 6, Shane's 5, and my 6.5. That brings us to the grand total of 6.1.
That's fair.
There we go. So let's go ahead and see where that lives on the leaderboard. So there it is, 6.1. It's going, just after Klaus Volume 2. So we rated Klaus Volume 2 higher than Klaus Volume 3.
I didn't.
No, you didn't. No, I know that. But and the rest of the leaderboard currently looks like this. We have Bite Size there as well. But Bite Size will be having a friend now after this. So there we go. So that's the leaderboard. That's how it's going to change next week.
I've just tweaked on. So with the first volume, I definitely got Batman vibes with the kind of going rooftop to rooftop.
Yeah.
And then obviously the second book we refer to Superman, and this is very much Thor. So who's next?
Who's
Like a
next?
Spider-Man version of Klaus?
Spider-Man. I'm
Oh,
not sure we
no.
can have a Spider-Man Klaus. I'm not sure.
Venom, that'd be good.
Yeah, Venom. Yeah, we'll have Lobo Klaus all over again.
Monster Klaus.
Yeah. But yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Let's go ahead and tell you all what we've got coming up next week. We've got a little video. I do apologise. Everyone, turn your sound down now because I forgot to adjust it. Turn your sound down probably to about 3/4 of the way. A quarter of the way is going to get loud. So you've had your warning. But here is what we're going to be reading next week. Sorry, everyone. That is what we're going to be looking at next week. It is Shane's pick. Shane's pick, and his Batman Battle for the Cowl.
I'm over the moon with that choice.
Yeah, you're happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love DC, and I haven't read that. It's one I've always wanted to read. So yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Brilliant. I mean, Batman has done quite well in everything we've read so far in the Nerdhood, so hopefully it'll do well as well. But yes, thank you everyone for joining. It's been fantastic to see you. Should we go around? Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and go around all of us to see what we've got coming up on our shows, on our channels and stuff. Martin, are you very active on YouTube?
No, I've not done YouTube in a long while, but I'm on Instagram. I'm going to be continuing putting my books that I get out and stuff like that. I'll be continuing that going into next year.
Yeah. Perfect. So I've just put your link for your Instagram in the chat. So everyone do go ahead and take a look at Blue Sonic's Instagram there. And do give him a follow. He's got some great pictures. They're lovely.
Yeah, if you want to get really jealous at someone's collection, go.
Yeah. Philip?
So, there's nothing this week before. I mean, it is Christmas. Come on, guys. We're 3 days away from the big day, you know. But what I will say, well, I mean, listen, something will come out. I'm going to start the year 2022 with a bang. A soft reboot. I'm going to say reboot. It's going to be like I'm going to actually release a video.
It's like the fifth reboot. Yeah,
that's I'm not changing nothing else. I'm just releasing videos. It's like a reboot, isn't it?
When's the next TMNT one?
I've read the book. I just haven't had the time to record and put something out. It'll happen. That'll happen. Give me a break.
Okay, all right. Shane?
Dawn of Comics Quiz Night 15, the Christmas special, premiered on Monday. So if you haven't seen that, you can go check that out on my channel, Dawn of Comics. And as always, there's a live viewer competition to win a prize. Just answer the question and send your answer to me on Instagram. Yeah.
I'm in that. In the free.
Yep.
Me too.
And for myself, nothing. As you know, I've taken a bit of a hiatus for this month, but I will be resuming regular programming from January, so everything should go tickety-boo from then. Yes. So Liam's Scott. He's just got to wait for airwaves to restart, and he's just going to say that every week. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll probably say that till like March. It'll just take a while. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, thank you very much everyone who joined the chat. Thank you very much, Martin, for picking Klaus 3, and you've got your swag, and you're very happy with it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me on here.
You are welcome.
Pleasure.
So that just means there is now one more thing to do. And forget it every week.
We've got to do like Christmassy, like, you know.
How?
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you for joining. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Merry Herdmas.
Yeah, Merry Herdmas.
Bye, everyone.
Love you.